Hey everyone, this is Josh Smith here with GottaBeMobile.com. We're giving you a first look at the Toshiba Portage Z830. This is a new Ultrabook packed with an Intel Core i3 processor, and it's what we'd like to call a MacBook Air competitor because it's so darn thin. So let's take a closer look at the outside of the device. So we have an incredibly thin aluminum frame, 0.63 inches deep, and it weighs in at less than 2.5 pounds. It feels incredibly light in the hand. I would argue to say it almost feels lighter than the MacBook Air, partly because we have such a light construction. And so I'm going to take you around the device and see all of the ports that you get in a slim package like this. So as you see on our left side, we have our microphone, headphone, and an SD card slot. If we slide around to the back end, this is where the bulk of our ports will be. And we have full VGA, no dongle needed. We have our power, and the power brick is a pretty decent size. HDMI. We have a USB 2.0 sleep and charge, and then we also have another USB 2.0. If we slide over, you'll notice we have a vent, which coincides. We have a fan area here on the bottom, and the fan does seem to kick on as soon as we open the device up to keep this thin form factor cool. And then we have a full Ethernet, again, no dongle needed. If we slide over to the right side, when you're looking at the notebook, we have a USB 3.0 port, and we have our Kensington lock slot. The front of the device, there's nothing much to see in terms of ports, just a pretty thin looking design. One of the included features is a fast start technology. Because we have an SSD, we can start up Windows 7 pretty fast. If we open the device up here, you'll see we'll quickly come into a lock screen and we're connecting to wireless. When I hit enter, we'll pretty quickly get into Windows, and once we're in there, I can tap on Chrome and get started. They're pretty fast. Pretty quick resume there. We'll take a closer look at how the boot times compare to the MacBook Air and to some traditional notebooks as we go through the review. On the inside, we have a 13.3 inch HD display. Unfortunately, it's only at a 1366 by 768 resolution, so while the screen is the same size as a MacBook Air, you don't get the same number of pixels and can't put the same amount on the screen all at the same time. Overall, colors look pretty nice, and it appears to handle bright lighting, such as we're in right now, pretty decently. We also have a webcam up at the top and our microphone built in right there. Let's take a look down at the keyboard. One very nice thing, we do have a full-size, backlit, spill-resistant keyboard. So we could potentially spill a little bit of water or coffee on this and should be alright, although you can't dump a whole can on there. It is backlit. One thing that I don't like right off the bat is we do have this extra row of keys over here that get in your way of backspace, enter, and shift. If you type a lot, that's going to take some training to get around. And then we have our power button, eco button, and what looks to be maybe a wireless display button. We'll take a closer look at that in our full review. The mouse pad is pretty decently sized. It's not as big as we've seen on the MacBook Air. We've seen bigger on other notebooks, but for a small Ultrabook, we do appear to have a decent size. The feel is very nice, and we'll check out the multi-touch capabilities of it later. You do have dedicated mouse buttons that have a good feel to them. To give you an idea of the thickness of the unit, we put a 9-volt battery at the back of the unit, and you can see that the bulge of the hinge right there is just slightly thicker than a 9-volt battery. To the left, you'll also see we have an iPhone 4S. If we move that over here, you can see the iPhone 4S is still thinner, of course, but kind of give you an idea of the size. And with those out of the way, you can see we have the MacBook Air on the right and the Ultrabook, the Toshiba Portage Z830 on the left. And the rear ends are about the same thickness. Tiny bit thicker over on the Portage side. And one thing that you'll notice as we switch them around here is that the MacBook Air has a more tapered design towards the front, but overall we still have two very portable devices. We'll take a closer look at how those compare over at notebooks.com here very shortly. One area of concern that I do have in my first impressions is that the screen appears to have a lot of give. So if you look, there's a lot of bowing going on, and the screen is just really flexible. Now that could provide some durability over the long term if we're flexing rather than breaking, but I'm just kind of concerned about the wobble that's there, and especially as we look down in the corner, you can give that a little bit of flex as well. So we'll pay close attention to that in our full review of the Z830. But for now, we're pretty impressed with the look and the feel of this new Ultrabook. Head on over to gottabemobile.com for a closer look at the Portagee Z830 from Toshiba, available this November.